Get ready to embark on the highway of life. Oppression, racism, segregation, the struggles of life. The destination? Crossroads. On the Blues Highway, 61 Highway.
Yeah, oh, I know it. Yeah. These song bitches wouldn't know blues if it bit them in the ass. But blues is the thing, man. Blues is hard.
That's right, man.
Blues is one of the hardest games out here. Most of the time when folks get into blues, they've gotten old, they got wild, and can't drink a damn thing. They just in the damn way. I've been listening to that since I've been a little kid, man. That was the only thing my daddy allowed in the house, man, with the blues. Nowadays, you go by somebody's house, each room got something different playing. Ain't no authority no more.
This is a hard life, baby.
What y'all say?
Things ain't like they used to be.
Johnny!
Thank you very much. Your name is?
Hank.
Hank, and your name is?
Lothar.
And these gentlemen are from?
Germany, Münster, Germany.
Did you play music beforehand, before you even heard the blues?
I just started playing music when I started to hear the first blues and see the first blues concerts, and since then the blues followed my whole life. It's now more than 30 years ago. It has more soul, it's deeper, it touches me.
It touches you?
Yes. So I listened to the blues when I was a little kid, and I started to sing when I was 10, 12 years. Yes, we have a blues community in Germany, but it's a small community. Blues is one of a lot of kind of music, and it's a small community of people who are interested in blues. I was inspired to see where everything began. I know a little bit of the blues history, and it took some years to be so far to say, okay, now I want to see the roots, I want to see where it all began, to see some parts of the country, to travel through the Mississippi country. It's now the second time we are here. First time we've been here in 2011, and it was a great experience both times. Yeah, that was the reason why we come back here to Clarksdale and Greenwood and all that little towns here, to get more deeper in the history and met new people, met a lot of people here. Yes, I had the honor to play with some guys here, and that's just fine. I enjoy it. The people are different here than in Germany. They are more open-minded, more open, more friendly. It's totally different to walk over the street here in Clarksdale than in a similar town in Germany. Yeah. The people talk to you, they come to you and ask you things, and it's cool.
Two things that I discuss with my students, and they're primarily African American students from Clarksdale, or from the Delta, let's just say the Delta. In some ways, these kids have been isolated from, they see TV, they watch video games, but that's really not, they haven't been part of that progressive black experience that teenagers in Chicago or maybe Atlanta, definitely New York, LA, are going to go through. Whereas you're going to have, it's just more, I just use the word again, progressive. Okay? The reason why, the teachers that we had up there, it was segregated in Chicago. So we had black teachers in black neighborhoods. And if you're in a middle class neighborhood, or fairly, or even lower middle class, you're gonna have pretty good teachers who are very focused on you getting ahead. In this area, a lot of the young people, their parents, and especially with this generation, I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, but this generation didn't really go through the civil rights era. I did, and those teachers did. So those teachers were very big on making sure our generation was aware of everything that it took to get ahead. So that's a big dynamic. So next door was the school teacher, next door was, 2 doors down was a judge in my neighborhood, where I grew up. So everybody around that area worked 1 or 2 jobs. My dad worked 2 jobs, so it was a different time. America in general has slipped in the way we bring up our children, and even the way children research and
you'll see there is a glimmer of hope.
On the internet, not
featuring the music, the people,
but what I'm getting
and
at
the places.
is we came up through a different time. It
Of
was
the
to
highway of
be
life.
proactive,
The
whether you were
Blues
white
Highway.
or black. With the Martin Luther
61
King
Highway.
vision, it was something that we embraced. Most people in America embraced it, and that's why we moved forward. Right now, we've got an entirely different situation. So the first thing I say to my students is I'll ask them, have they heard of the Willie Lynch letter? Have you heard of that? Okay, you've read it. For people that aren't aware of that piece, they don't get why blacks hold each other down, and they don't realize that goes back to slavery. When the master, Willie Lynch was a real man, that's where the word lynching came from, and he taught whites how to control their slaves by pitting the old against the young, the dark against the light, the fat against the skinny, whatever, however, and he goes through an entire list of how to control people's minds so they won't run away, because slave uprisings were going on at that time, and slaves were revolting. And so he came, from the islands and came here, I think it was to Virginia, and just taught these people how to control their slaves. It wasn't with the shackles, it was with your mind. And so he made it, that people were afraid to leave the plantation because they were afraid of ghosts. They called them Hanks. The people said, why didn't they run away? Well, hell, if you were scared of the dark, because you thought the devil was going to get you if somebody got out of their grave. So people were just like these girls, and that they just found has been up there for 10 years. Those people are terrorists. They learn how to control your mind. So part of what I do with my students is try to re-educate or educate, basically, sometimes not re-educate, it's just educating them about slavery, the reality of not just slavery from the books, but
Get
to go
ready
beyond that.
to embark
Why
on
are
the
we
highway of
still
life.
fighting each other? Why is black on black
Oppression,
crime so high? Why is it so easy for one guy to kill another
segregation,
guy? The
the
lack of
struggles
respect.
of life,
And if a parent doesn't
The
teach their children to
destination,
respect them,
crossroads,
you don't respect your
on
dad
the
and mom,
Blues
sure
Highway,
as heck ain't gonna respect the teacher and the
61
preacher and the
Highway.
policeman. Okay, it's easy to kill somebody. So anyway, that was one of the first things that came to mind, was the whole Willie Lynch syndrome of people are oppressed internally, psychologically. The people that have broken out of it are people that found out about it, acknowledged it, and went, wow, nappy hair versus straight hair, long hair versus short hair. There's still black people that really tie into that, and it really bothers me. Dark-skinned kids are getting picked on to this day in class. You're calling them smut, charcoal, and midnight and all this stuff, and I'm like, cut it out. Don't you guys realize that you're playing into an old playbook from the 1800s? Let's stop that and move on. There is a segment of our society, white and black, young people, college kids, who are finally becoming aware of people like Lead Belly, Mississippi John Hurt, Lightning Hopkins, those type people. Thank God, because that was that link between the field music and the jukes on the road, and those types of Lead Belly, Mississippi John Hurt, those kind of guys. And when the young people hear that music, they start to get it, that there is a link. And thank God for people like Eric Clapton, who at least admits it. I remember Led Zeppelin when I was a teenager. They weren't talking, they were just using that music. They weren't talking about it then. The pressure had to come from the black community, that you're playing our music. These people, look at Jessie Mae Linfield. She told me herself, she sold one of her CDs for all of the music on there for $500. I said, Jessie, why did you do that? She said, I was broke. Rose, I was broke. She said, look at where I live. She lived in that raggedy, not an RV, a trailer. It was terrible. She died, people tried to help her, but she had sold the one, then she sold another one, she told me, for like $1,000. All of her rights, she had sold all of her rights. She died, like most old blues people, in poverty. Severe poverty. And that's not fair. I used to think,
Coming soon,
somebody,
you'll see there
because
is
she
a
didn't
glimmer
know
of
how to
hope,
read. Well, that's taking advantage.
featuring the music,
And it was taking advantage
the
of her
people,
situation.
and the places
I don't know if there even has ever been a lawsuit.
of the highway of life.
There needs
The
to be. I'm
Blues
glad
Highway.
you asked that question, because there needs to be. This is what
61
we talk about.
Highway.
When nobody's around, this is what we talk about. Okay?
Amen.
Like on Sunday, sometime I'd go to church, and when I got through hearing the minister, when he got through preaching, outside would be kind of,
Yeah.
holding together, shaking hands, praising. The sisters would come to me and say, Shawty, why don't you just come on in and start playing for the Lord? And I would look at him and say, you know, every time I pick up my guitar and I walk on the stage, he's the one who took me there. And I said, now when I'm playing that guitar, I'm playing that guitar for him and myself. Because he didn't say satisfy him, but devil music, satisfy him with music. That's what I was talking about.
That's exactly right.
And I say, when I play this guitar, every note I play is from him and for him.
This is our second time coming down here to Clarksville. Our first time was about 3.5 years ago, mainly because we follow the blues. We enjoy the music so much that we wanted to come down and see the Crossroads. This trip is kind of a bittersweet trip for us because I'm probably not going to be able to do this again. I've been diagnosed with stage 4 bone cancer, and so this trip is especially important to us and significant as far as that goes, and that's kind of why we're down here, really, to take our last hurrah. The blues for me is not so much the music, it's the feeling you get when you're either playing it or listening to it. You know, I enjoy not only playing the blues, but I enjoy listening to it and its roots from where it came from. You know, all the way back to Robert Johnson and Elmore James, and you know, even back farther than that, Charlie Patton, and so on and so forth. You know, these guys were, I don't know, I would call them heroes, I guess, because you know, they are really responsible for American music today. I mean, they at least I think they are. I started playing the accordion when I was about 9 years old. And I played the accordion for about 5 years, and then I became a teenager, and accordion just wasn't cool anymore. So then I took guitar lessons. Was always a huge music fan as far back as I could possibly remember. I mean, as far as I can remember back, I always enjoyed music. And then when I got in my first band back in the mid-'60s, we had 2 guitar players and a keyboard player and a drummer, and everybody looked at me and said, well, we need a bass player. So that's how I started playing bass, and I've been playing it ever since. The first time that we were here, we had so much fun. It was because it was our first time. We were going to a lot of places that we have never been before, like the Delta Blues Museum, the Rock and Soul Museum, Ground Zero, and all those cool places. And I remember when we first pulled up here, it was so funny because my wife says, "Oh my God, what did you get us into?" You know, because when we pulled up, it doesn't look like a hotel or anything cool. You know, so she was like freaking out at first, but after, of course, we got in and pulled in, it's just beautiful down here. I mean, you know, it ain't just the weather, but the people are friendly, and it's just a different atmosphere, you know, down in this area. Down here, I see a lot more poverty, I think, down in this area than we have up by me. But I also see a lot of people that are dealing with it quite well, which is kind of cool. You know, they're trying to figure out ways to get out of it, trying to do the right things. Again, people are always so friendly. There's nobody sticks their nose up at you, or you know, I don't really see any real negative. You know, I mean, it's even with the poverty and stuff, it's a beautiful town. I love it. I'd move here. Told her that yesterday. It has everything to do with the music and the culture, and I think the culture makes the music. You know, as far as that goes, and I think that's why the blues started, in my opinion anyway. The blues started down in this area because of the culture. You know, the shareholders, you know, the slaves that were out in the fields picking the crops and singing as they were out there, and you know, I mean, that's really where that type of music started, and it just carried on and on and on. I was in so much pain when I first got diagnosed. I was the amount of pain I was in was excruciating. I mean, it was just terrible. But then once I started getting the treatments and stuff like that, pain started subsiding, and so I called my guys back up, and everybody was waiting to get back together, and we got back together with the same guys. We didn't change anybody. We got the same team back together, and music is me. I mean, it defines me. You know, even you know, up where I live, I mean, people know that music is part of my life. You know, I mean, all my neighbors, we have music in my house. There's music almost 24/7 going on. You know, either we got CDs playing, or we're out in the backyard playing music, or the band is playing or rehearsing, or we're working somewhere playing, or whatever. But it seems like it's always some kind of music going on. And very luckily for me, my wife feels the same way. She's so much into music that, you know, it made a perfect fit when we met. There's only one speed down here, and that's slow. You know, no one's in a hurry to do anything, and everybody's just kind of going about their business, and it makes it really cool. It makes for a nicer, nobody's in such a hurry to get everywhere, you know.
You had the experience last night.
Oh gosh, that was kind of that was probably the funnest thing I've done ever. And I'm not just talking about being able to get up on stage with Guitar Shorty, which was absolutely incredible and so much fun. But the whole night, I mean, it just broke out into almost like a private party. You know what I mean? It was so much fun. Probably the most fun that we've had together, and we do a lot of stuff, dude. I mean, we really do. We do a lot of stuff. But it was off the hook. It really was. It was just so much fun. And getting on stage and being able to play with Little Bobby and Guitar Shorty was just the icing on the cake. It was just so cool. We talked to a lot of people in our travels, and like I said, we've listened to blues from everywhere from New Orleans to Chicago to Milwaukee. And you're right, a lot of people that go to these blues shows, they don't know nothing about the blues. And I think the blues is something almost of an education. You know, to really appreciate it and enjoy it, you almost have to know where it derived from, where it came from, where it started, how it started, you know, and I think that's an important thing. And as far as the music industry shoving certain kinds of music down your throat, like you say, in the malls and so on, and kind of making you listen to everything, I don't really think that's a bad thing, but I do think that people are very fickle and very easily swayed. And I think, you know, that you can focus on someone, and if you focus on them hard enough for a certain age group, a certain demographic or whatever, you can make them like anything you want. You know, if you have the right advertising campaign. You know, I really believe that.
Coming soon, you'll see there is a glimmer of hope, featuring the music, the people, and the places of the Highway of Life, the Blues Highway, 61 Highway.
61 Highway. You never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, you give me fever. That's so hard to bear. When you kiss me, when you hold me tight, baby, oh yeah, baby, all through the night, sunlights of the daytime, moonlights of the night. I light up when you call my name, yeah, I know you're gonna treat me right. You give me fever. When you kiss me, when you hold me tight, baby, oh yeah, baby, all through the night. Everybody's got the fever. Everybody's got the fever. Everybody's got the fever. don't you dare. He gives me fever when he kisses me, fever when he holds me tight. Fever, yeah baby, fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever. Everybody's got the fever. Everybody's got the fever. That is something you wanna know. It isn't such a no thing.